All right, so we're diving into this World Economic Forum report, the Future of Jobs Report 2025. Looks pretty in depth.
Yeah.
Over 1,000 employers surveyed, 14 million workers, 22 industries, 55 economies.
Wow.
It's a lot. It's basically what could work look like globally in the next few years.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like a sneak peek for all of us listening, right?
Well,
Like,
yeah, I mean, it's really fascinating because it goes beyond just like the numbers of jobs
yeah.
and looks at what kinds of jobs, what skills we'll need, even how employers are thinking about wages
Okay.
with AI and everything. So it's really, really comprehensive look.
So what we're going to try to do today is kind of pull out the big stuff from this report,
Yeah.
the things that are really going to matter to, the people listening to
So,
all of us.
for starters, the report projects, we're going to see like 170 million new jobs
Wow.
globally by 2030. So optimistic on the surface.
170 million? That's a lot.
It-
But I'm guessing there's got to be a catch.
You're right. There's always a catch, isn't there?
Right.
A lot of jobs are also going to disappear.
Oh,
We could see up to 92 million jobs displaced,
92 million.
which is,
So that's like what? Almost a quarter of all the jobs?
yeah, almost a quarter of the entire job market is going to be different.
So what's behind all this change?
Well, technology, no surprise there.
Right.
But specifically, the report points to digital access getting wider and wider.
Okay.
That's the biggest factor shaping everything.
So more people online, more businesses online
Yeah,
means more opportunities,
exactly.
but also probably more ways things can get messed up,
Right, exactly.
like a double-edged sword, kind of.
Precisely. And, all this online access is what's making AI grow faster, robotics, even energy tech.
All that stuff we keep hearing about.
It's all connected.
Right.
And these are going to be the biggest changes in the job market.
And speaking of AI, because it feels like we can't not talk about it, this report says that 86% of employers
Wow.
think AI is going to transform their businesses.
That's a huge number.
It is huge, but is every industry like jumping on this AI train at the same speed?
That's a great question. And no, adoption is kind of uneven.
Yeah.
Obviously, the tech industry is leading the way, but other sectors like construction,
Hmm.
they're kind of lagging behind. It's just harder to automate, when you're working on a building site versus online.
Yeah, that makes sense. So then AI and productivity, this is the big question, right? Like,
Yeah.
is this going to make us all super efficient or are the robots going to take our jobs?
It's a question everybody's asking.
Yeah.
And it's not so simple.
Yeah.
The report does say that when it's used right, AI can actually help us do our jobs better.
Okay.
Like in healthcare, it can analyze medical images, help with diagnosis,
Interesting.
frees up doctors to actually spend more time with patients.
Right. So it's like AI is a partner, not necessarily the enemy.
Exactly. But the report does warn against pushing AI too far.
Oh,
If we rely on it for things it can't handle, we're going to have problems.
so knowing its limits is important,
Absolutely. Now, beyond all this tech stuff,
right?
we've also got economic factors to think about.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Cost of living is a huge worry for people.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
for half the employers surveyed think that's going to reshape their businesses.
Wow.
And on top of that, the economy might slow down.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
No, not really. The report estimates this could lead to over 1.5 million jobs lost.
Yeah. So even if the robots don't get us, a bad economy might.
Well, it's not that straightforward, but it shows how complicated this all is, right?
Yeah.
And then we've got geopolitics to think about.
Oh, right, like trade wars, all that stuff.
Exactly. It's shifting alliances globally. It all affects jobs.
So how does that work? How does global politics mess with the job market?
Imagine a company that relies on stuff from other countries.
Okay.
Suddenly there's a trade war. Those
Mm.
materials get super expensive, maybe impossible to get.
Oh,
That company has to adapt fast, find new suppliers, maybe even move their whole operation.
wow.
Yeah, the report says these shifts will reshape how a third of the companies surveyed do business.
It's all connected, isn't it?
Exactly. And trade restrictions could affect even more, so it has a huge ripple effect.
So we've got tech on the rise, a maybe not so good economic outlook,
Yeah,
and all this global uncertainty.
that's a lot. And we haven't even talked about climate change yet.
I was just thinking that it feels like climate change is impacting everything these days.
You're not wrong. And actually, the biggest thing pushing the green transition is, guess what?
Climate change.
Exactly, it's climate change mitigation.
So that means what? More jobs in renewable energy, all that?
Yeah, I think renewable energy jobs, but also anything related to sustainability.
Okay.
So like green building design, sustainable agriculture, that kind of thing.
It's good that at least some jobs will come out of dealing with climate change.
Definitely.
What else should we be watching out for? Anything else big happening?
Well, demographics are changing too.
Oh, great.
In developed countries, the population's aging, so we need more healthcare workers, people to look after the elderly. And then in developing countries, there's a growing working age population, which brings its own set of challenges.
So it's like tech, economics, politics, climate, demographics, all swirling together to shape the future of work.
It's a lot to take in,
It
right?
really is.
But don't worry, there are things we can do to get ready for all of this. And we'll talk about those in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else from this first part of the report that really jumped out at you?
Yeah, this idea of augmentation.
Augmentation, what's that?
It's where tech is used to make us better at our jobs, not replace us.
Oh, interesting.
It's a powerful concept.
Yeah, I like that. It's like tech is a tool to help us not take over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this leads to some big questions about what skills we'll need in this augmented future.
Which is a perfect way to transition to the next part of our deep dive. We'll look at what the report says about the skills we'll all need in this like rapidly changing job market.
It's going to be interesting. So the job landscape, it's changing, right? Like a lot.
Yeah, definitely a lot to think about.
The question is, what does this mean for everyone listening?
Right. Like, how do we deal with all this change?
Exactly. What skills do you need? Not just to survive,
Right.
but to actually do well,
So is it all about like coding and algorithms? Is that what everyone needs to learn?
It's tempting to think that with tech being so important,
Yeah.
but this report, it gives us a more complex picture.
Okay.
It says we need tech skills and human skills.
So it's not like one or the other, it's both.
Exactly. It's like they work together.
Okay, so what kind of tech skills are we talking about here?
Well, the report says AI and big data are huge. Also, cybersecurity and just general comfort with technology.
Right, that makes sense.
Then on the human side, they emphasize things like creative thinking, being resilient, flexible, and leadership.
Oh, so those soft skills, they're still really important.
More important than ever, actually.
Even with all this automation, all this AI.
Exactly. And here's something interesting.
Okay.
They found that 39% of core skills will change by 2030. Which is a lot, but it's actually lower than they thought it would be a few years ago.
What does that mean?
It means we're adapting the global workforce. We're getting used to this fast pace of change.
So we're learning, basically.
Yeah, but the need to keep learning throughout your whole career, that's even more important now.
So it's not enough to graduate and be done. You got to keep updating your skills.
Exactly. It's all about lifelong learning now. And this is where upskilling and reskilling come in.
Right. Okay. So let's say I'm on board with this whole lifelong learning thing.
Yeah.
What are my options? How do I actually do that subskill or reskill myself?
Well, the good news is a lot of employers, they get it. Over half of them are planning to invest in training programs for their employees.
So there are opportunities out there for people who want to learn new stuff.
For sure. But there's a catch.
Always a catch.
Right. The report also says 11 out of every 100 workers probably won't get the training they need.
Wow, 11 out of 100.
Which means their jobs might be at risk.
So what can people do to make sure they're not one of those 11?
That's a great question for everyone listening, right?
Yeah, what are you doing to stay relevant?
Are you taking advantage of training at work, maybe checking out online courses, getting new certifications?
Right.
Even just networking, talking to people in your field to see what's coming next.
You got to be proactive.
Exactly. You can't just wait for someone to tell you what to do.
Take charge of your own learning, basically.
And the report talks about some new trends in how people are doing that.
Oh, like what?
Well, one thing is these micro-credentials and alternative learning pathways.
What are those?
So instead of needing a 4-year degree, you can just focus on learning the specific skills you need.
Oh, interesting.
Which is where these online learning platforms come in.
Right.
You can learn at your own pace, on your own time.
So it's more flexible.
Yeah, and more personalized.
It's like education is becoming more on demand.
Exactly. You get what you need when you need it.
And it's not just what you learn, it's how you learn it, too.
Right. Which brings us to another big trend. Soft skills.
Oh, we talked about this earlier.
Yeah, like communication, teamwork, problem solving.
Right, those human skills.
And while tech skills are super important,
Yeah.
you need both. Employers are really looking for people who have those soft skills.
It makes sense because if technology can do the routine stuff,
Yeah,
what sets you apart is how well you can think, how well you can work with other people.
exactly. Those uniquely human skills are becoming even more valuable.
So how do you, learn those skills?
There are workshops, online courses, all kinds of stuff. But you can also learn through experience, mentorship, volunteering. It all helps.
So be intentional about it, basically.
Yeah, create opportunities to practice those skills.
Inside and outside of work.
Exactly. And again, it's all about lifelong learning.
Keep growing, keep developing.
Soft skills, just like tech skills,
Yeah.
they need to be constantly updated.
So another question for everyone listening.
Yeah.
What are you doing to build your soft skills?
Are you getting feedback from people, trying to find areas where you can improve?
Because the future, it's going to need people who are well-rounded.
Yeah, with both the technical and the human skills.
To thrive in this crazy, constantly changing world.
And on that note, I think we should move to the last part of the report.
Sounds good.
This is where we look at the big picture, the long-term stuff, what it all means for the future of work.
Let's do it. What are the experts saying about where all this is headed and what can we do to get ready? Okay, so we've gone through a ton of info in this report. Tech, economics, politics, climate change, demographics. It's a lot.
It really is. It shows how complex the future of work is going to be.
Right. So for everyone listening, what's the main takeaway here? What should we be focusing on?
I think the biggest thing is the job market's changing fast,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not necessarily bad.
Okay.
It's about, being aware of what's coming, being able to adapt,
Mm-hmm.
and being proactive. The future isn't just going to happen to us.
Right.
We can shape it.
So we have some control. It's not all predetermined.
Exactly. And that starts with understanding the trends like we've been talking about, figuring out what skills are going to be in demand,
Right.
and committing to, always learning new things.
Lifelong learning, basically.
Lifelong learning. It's not just for school anymore. It's got to be part of your whole career.
So we talked about specific skills, tech skills, those human skills.
Yep.
But is there a bigger picture here, something to guide us through all this change?
One thing the report really emphasizes is having a growth mindset.
A growth mindset. What's that?
It's about being open to new things.
Yeah.
Willing to try things you haven't done before,
Mm.
and seeing challenges not as roadblocks, but as chances to learn.
So basically, don't be afraid of change. See it as an opportunity.
Exactly. And that goes hand in hand with resilience.
Resilience.
Yeah. Because let's face it, there will be bumps in the road.
Right. Like job losses, things changing unexpectedly.
Exactly. Being able to bounce back from that, adapt to new situations, that's crucial.
So skills are important, but so is your attitude, how you approach things.
Absolutely. And the report also talks about the importance of networks, relationships.
Okay. Why is that so important for the future of work?
Because you're not going through this alone, right?
Right.
Connecting with other people, sharing what you know, helping each other out.
Okay.
That's how we'll navigate these changes. Professional groups, online communities, even just talking to colleagues and mentors.
Makes sense. It's like we're all in this together, right?
Exactly. And that brings us back to that idea of augmentation.
Oh, right. Tech, helping us do our jobs better.
Not replacing us, but working with us.
I like that idea.
And the report says we're already seeing this happening.
Really? Where?
So you've got AI helping doctors make better diagnoses. Robots working alongside people in factories.
It's not some far-off sci-fi thing. It's happening now.
Exactly. And as this technology gets more advanced, it's on us to make sure it's used ethically.
Right. We can't just ignore the potential downsides.
What about the impact on jobs, on wages? We need to make sure everyone benefits from these changes, not just a few.
So it's about making sure the future of work is good for everyone.
Exactly. A future that's fair, sustainable, and fulfilling for everyone.
That's a great goal.
Well, I think that about covers it for our deep dive into this Future of Jobs report.
Yeah, we've really gone deep into this.
It's been a fascinating look at what's coming, and hopefully it's given everyone listening some things to think about.
Absolutely, because the future of work, it's not set in stone.
It's up to all of us to shape it.
So keep learning, stay curious, be open to new things, and let's build a future of work that works for everyone.
I like that.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.